Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Uncorporate World. I'm your host, Dr. Heidi. Today I have with me my lovely co-host Alexis and Melissa Pond. She's a grants manager and growth specialist. Welcome to the show, everyone. Happy to have you all here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, Melissa, maybe you can just kind of kick us off a little bit and tell us about your background and just some interesting facts about yourself.
Absolutely. So I spent 15 years in the same job that I had my college internship in, working my way up the ladder in government. And eventually I just really wanted to do something else. Things just like really weren't working for me. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I branded my own name, Melissa J. Pond LLC, and I just started networking. And networking was the key to success. So started sharing my story that I wanted to go out on my own and start my own consulting agency. And what people really wanted from me was the grant writing. So I just sort of leaned into that. And then as I was getting clients and working with their clients on grants, I noticed there was all these other ways that I could help them. And at first it was sort of like whisper, here's what else you need to know. And just sort of doing it on the side as like a complimentary service in addition to the grants. And then it dawned on me, like I realized like this needs to all just be part of the package and what I'm offering and how my services work. And so as I continued to network and grow and experience things with my clients, my packages just continued to change and evolve and how I work with clients. Now I'm just a lot more confident. I'm like 3 years in or so, and just a lot more confident in what it is and how I serve my clients. So as I get out there, I continue to network and network and network. I was at a luncheon today. And as I meet people and share what I do, it's just really exciting.
That's awesome. What has been the power of social networking for you? I mean, I've seen you over the last, I would say, I mean, you've always been an amazing networker out there meeting people, but I mean, you've started your own private group in the last year. And I've seen that flourish. I've seen the connections. And one of the things that really stands out to me, it's not just another group. It's not just a group where there's people in there and like two or three people are chatting with one another and everyone else is just silent. It's an active group. It's an engaged group. And I just love to hear a little bit more about like how you were built that and what that's really done for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to give credit where credit's due. I was in Boston Business Women, still am, still part of it. And one of the things the leader was offering was a course on creating your own Facebook group to engage potential clients. And so I was like, I can do that. I can start that. And what I really wanted to see in there and what I was seeing from success of participating in Boston Business Women was when you showed up in person and you also had a really strong online presence, people already knew who you were. And maybe they weren't ready to engage with you online yet, but then when they meet you in person, it just like lit up this whole new thing. And then they're like, oh, I know you. And like they had already familiarity with your face. And so it just turned on, like, I feel like it's like turning on both sides of the brain, right? It's like you're familiar with them because you've seen them online, but now their online presence becomes real. And so I just noticed that really was like the key to success was showing up strong online, showing up strong in person in those same groups, talking to the same people. And so that's what I really wanted inside of my group. And so when I launched it with a very hard launch in September of last year, I had the opportunity to host it at Fenway Park in a VIP suite. It was the coolest thing ever. I had won it at a live auction gala. I put the winning bid on it, boldly raised that paddle, got the winning bid. And then what I was offering for the people that were coming to that event, I was saying, here's where you can show up really strong in person at this high level networking event, rare opportunity to be at Fenway Park in a VIP suite. And then I'm going to help you show up really strong online too. So I offered them a strategy session and then some social media assets to really turn what they do into meaningful communications online so that these same people who are showing up to the in-person meetings are now showing up really strong online too. And I'm still working on that whole package. It was quite a bit. But in the meantime, I was also following what I had talked to them about in their strategy call and like where they wanted to show up strong. And I would just take what they were already posting, share it inside the group and be like, our VIP so-and-so is doing X. Here, support this person and here's how you can help them. And, one person I just shared, she has all these free assets about divorce. And so how helpful is that to someone who's considering getting a divorce, but they have no idea where to start. And they're intimidated to talk to any professionals yet because that's going to cost money. So just having those resources available. So that's one example of one of the VIPs and how they show up. And then I was able to like take her post about all these digital assets she has and share inside the group. And then right away, people are commenting like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm so glad I have this to share with my network. And so just really helping people to show up, not just online and not just in person. I think some people think it's like one or the other, especially with all these like AI opportunities. People think like, oh, I don't even need to show up, or I don't even need to show my face. Like, I think that's all not true. I think people, especially because of AI, they really want to trust and believe and have somebody that they can see in person, look in their eye and make eye contact with them, and just have that human connection. I think that human connection piece is so critical right now. And so I think being able to see somebody in person and then see them show up online, it just accelerates that know, like, trust factor.
That's awesome. I mean, I love that we can give that kind of firsthand knowledge and experience to our listeners, because I talk about it all the time, right? The power of social networking. And I feel like sometimes you got to see the proof, and just one person's example of that is sometimes not enough. Like, they need to see other people having success with it. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without social networking. My entire career has been based on those social networks and maintaining those relationships. And it's just critically important. And it's funny you talk about AI and keeping the people at the forefront. You'd be interested to hear, we just had a discussion about this the other day. There are now companies that are fully integrating AI into the actual functional layers of their organization. They're giving them names, they're giving them job roles, they're putting them right directly into the hierarchical standpoint. We were just talking about Ford the other day. They have them in the sales manager role. And, all of a sudden you come down your hierarchy and you see, 2 or 3 employees, and then you see Devin, the AI robot. And it's crazy to think that, but it's the psychological aspect of, the impact that it's having on the people that are there. And you're basically saying, okay, this robot is the equivalent to these human beings, and what these human beings can bring to the table. So it's interesting that you say that, because I completely agree about, we still need to keep that human side to it. Alexis, how are students your age struggling with networking? Is it something that you guys are even considering? Do you guys talk about it? Just kind of curious where things are at there.
Yeah, honestly, I think that networking, even apart from networking, just building like human connection and relationships have definitely become harder and a much different type of process with all the social media and AI, of course. Like more and more emails and how like peers communicate with each other, they use AI to actually do this. But I think even in networking, like my friends my age, like we don't really get that much exposure to how to almost like efficiently network. We never have any educational opportunities on this. And I find myself learning the most about how networking is so important in building these connections, especially as you grow older and get into college for internships, for other jobs. I find myself learning this in summer camps. So I think many people my age would definitely benefit from learning more about networking. Yeah.
Melissa, do you have some advice? Like, even just like, how could somebody like Alexis's age, get a little bit more comfortable with networking? Is there a good place to start? Also considering, the fact that we have to be realistic. They're minors, so we have to make sure that they're in settings that are appropriate for them and things like that. But where can they get started with something like this, would you say?
Absolutely. I think a lot of times kids, it's sort of expected that we're relying on our parents' networks, right? And so our parents are the ones who are sort of guiding who we're spending our time with, and where we're putting our energy, what that's going to dictate in our college career, et cetera. And for some people, for myself example, I didn't really have that. My parents didn't have a network. They were very introverted. There was no network. And so when I went off to college, like I was a first generation college student, I had absolutely no network. And that internship was like, that was the absolute key to my success. Like if I didn't have that internship, I don't know where I'd be. So just really grateful for that opportunity. I think the important thing is one of the things I learned in college when I went out to, I had a semester in California. It was amazing. And out there, I met a business professor who taught us about informational interviewing. And that's a great way, I think, that high school students can start making those moves because adults are always excited to, you know, as long as they can find the time, excited to talk about their experience and, you know, where they were, where they're going, how their journey would have been different if they thought about something a little bit different and sharing that little nugget of truth with somebody else. And so if you frame it as, can I have 20 minutes of your time to do an informational interview with you? I'm really interested in the industry you're in, and I want to know if that's the right target industry for me to shape my career with where I'm going for college and what I'm doing. So could I just borrow, you know, 20 minutes of your time and ask you a few questions? And that could be, you could say over the phone or in person, over Zoom, whatever it is. And, you know, I think a lot of people would be, you know, as long as you're not asking for too much of somebody's time, it's easy to carve out 20 minutes for somebody.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I think honestly, including myself, but I know many of my friends, like we overlook how much like adults are interested in talking with us. I feel like we scare ourselves into thinking, oh, they wouldn't respond. They wouldn't want to give us an opportunity since we're only in high school. But I think you said that very well on how to frame, how to ask questions and ask for their time. And I think this is super important because even in high school, we're starting to look for internships, and our school is asking us to reach out to like business owners and try to email them and see if they have ability for internships. And I think we struggle the most with honestly like saying the first word, sending that first email, because I think especially for peers my age with social media, we kind of like tend to be a little bit more introverted when it comes to adults, like this like invisible barrier between us and like adults and how we communicate. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I would add to that is asking for the informational interview instead of the internship can be a softer way to ask for that opportunity to connect with them. And then that informational interview could very well lead to an internship in their realm, or they might know somebody to send you to. And when you're doing the informational interview, the way that you end that really strategically is ask for 3 more contacts. Ask for 3 more people that you should be talking to within their network, and they probably will gladly, if they can think of someone, gladly share that information and pass you along. This actually recently happened. Someone that I'm connected with in like the PR world, she reached out and was like, hey, this college student is looking for informational interviews. And I was like, I preached that. I better do it. I better host one. And so I took the informational, even though I was super busy, I took the call. And I didn't really have a whole lot to offer her other than, hey, by the way, this women's network I'm part of, they're actually starting a group for people in your like age group and your career, like starting out your career. I'd love to introduce you over there. Would you like that opportunity? And I'll send you and connect you over there. She was like, yeah, that'd be great. And then sure enough, she posted on LinkedIn, you know, thanking me for that opportunity. And she's really happy with that connection. So you also just, you never really know how that person can serve you in that time. So asking for an informational interview instead of directly asking for an internship can be a better way of moving the needle, because it's a little less intimidating of like if they had reached out and said, you know, she's looking for a job, could you give her a job? It'd be like, no. But like it was, can you talk to her about your career, give her some advice, and see if there's anybody in your network you can send her to? That's a completely different conversation.
Yeah. And I think that's important what you said too, Melissa, because I hear this all the time. People say, oh, I talked to so-and-so, but they don't offer me anything. There's no value there in that relationship. And what people need to understand is building a network doesn't mean instantaneous creation of value. Doesn't mean, and it may never create value with that individual, but You don't know who that individual knows. You stay networked with them, you stay connected with them, you have a relationship. You come to mind when those situations start to align. And so I never dismiss anyone in any sort of circumstance, because you don't know where that's going to lead down the line. And it could just be, like I said, the funneling of your networks, the funneling of growth. Or there might be a time where you look back and you're like, wow, I never saw this happening. But now all of a sudden you're working together, or you're doing a project together. So we never want to, say that a relationship doesn't have value to it just because it may not give you something in that direct moment, which I think is really important.
I agree 100%. I call that never burn a bridge.
Yeah.
Just because it's not somebody that you think you have something to continue that relationship right now, like, be nice, be polite, send a thank you. Don't just write people off and dismiss them so quickly that it was a waste of everybody's time, or people are feeling bitter and resentful. Just be kind.
Yeah, 100%. So Melissa, I'd like to just kind of take a step back for a few minutes and talk a little bit about your career in the government sector. I just think because it's an area a lot of people have misconceptions about, or perceptions that might not be 100% accurate, or maybe accurate. And I just think where we have so many people listening who are learning about different industries and maybe where they want to go, where they don't want to go, I just love to hear a little bit more about your experience in that sector.
Sure. I absolutely loved it for the time that I was serving in it. I made a lot of really great connections. I was doing federal grant management on behalf of the municipality and working with nonprofits. And that whole piece is what led me to, I was like, I really enjoy working with these nonprofits. So I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go get my master's degree in nonprofit management. And sure enough, there was a connection there with Heidi that we've gotten to connect on later in life. That I'm just I love that. But working with them, and then during my master's program, I learned a lot about this whole idea of collaboration and community impact and bringing organizations together. And so I really tried to implement that in my work in Quincy. So it wasn't just the grant management piece. I would bring people together and really talk about collaboration opportunities, community impact, and having those live in-person conversations to try to move the needle on things. And that piece I just was so passionate about, and still so passionate about it, that it's really kind of trickled into my new consulting business and how I approach things moving forward. And one of the reasons why I really started the networking group too, because I was finding that a lot of the nonprofits I was working with, they were so small, and they were, it was one person trying to do everything, and they really didn't understand the value of developing relationships so that you're getting people that would support your organization, and that grants don't just fall from the sky because you have your 501c3 now. Grants come to you because you've been able to demonstrate that you've pulled a community together, that people are passionate about solving this particular problem that your nonprofit solves. And then to get that funding would be to impact the scale of what you're doing, and reach more people, serve more people. So one of the reasons I started the networking group was, okay, if I had a lot more people in this group, we could host events where, there's all these different restaurants and even places like Ryan's Amusements where they'll give the organization a percentage of sales. So it's if I could build a really big network, then I host this event, bringing my network in, who now they're doing it because they resonate with what I'm offering, but it's on behalf of this nonprofit that I'm serving. Now all these people are funneling in to do XYZ, and then the percentage goes to them. That was one of the very first things I thought of if I wanted to start the networking group. But then also for the small businesses too, how important and valuable it is for the small businesses to be building relationships as well.
Absolutely. I'm wondering, the government sector is obviously very different, structured very differently than being an entrepreneur and working for yourself, being able to have that flexibility to set your own hours and things like that. Did you find that to be part of the reason why you decided to leave more of that traditional hierarchical structure? Or did that maybe not play a role in it?
Yeah, absolutely. My advice to women who are developing their career. I love the fact that I built my career. I built a lot of experience. And so when I'm out networking, there is a lot of credibility for me to speak on behalf of and say, like, this, I have all this experience, right? And so now I can have that freedom and flexibility with my schedule so that I can show up for my kids more, and so that I can kind of work more in those like mother's hours. So I can drop my kid off and then I jump on calls, or I get work done between 9 and 2, pick my kids up from school, and then continue my evening with, you know, more work. But and it's definitely a long day. I could attest to that. But at the same time, it's a lot more rewarding and fulfilling that with having, I had my daughter in daycare, and like she would be there like, you know, early morning until late at night, and then, you know, the only time I would really get to see her is like dinner and bedtime. And it's like, I want more of that. I want more time with my kids. And so having a more flexible schedule just really accommodates that. And so my advice to young women moving through their career is definitely work hard through, you know, high school, college, get an entry-level job, work your way up, do all the things, gain that credibility so that you truly have flexibility once you get out, that you can be a consultant, you can offer people your time, resources, expertise, and they're going to want that. They're going to want what you have. I have plenty of clients, continuing to grow. I grew 50% year over year from 24 to 25, and first quarter already doubled what I did last year for first quarter. So I'm really proud of that. And I hope that that's, you know, a testimony to young women that you can have the freedom and flexibility so you can better balance your career and motherhood at the same time.
Alexis, do you have any questions for Melissa?
Yeah, I think that was great advice, especially for a young woman starting on a new job. And I was wondering if, other than overworking themselves and spending too much time on jobs rather than maybe a little bit more time on family, do you have any other mistakes you see women make when trying to like build connections or networking?
I think if I say mistakes, networking, I think it goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, that it's not trying to make a connection just to find the immediate value. That networking, somebody said this at one of the networking events that I just hosted last weekend. Networking is really farming. It's not hunting. And that really looks, and I was like, I have to repeat that. I love this. You plant a seed when you're out networking. You're planting seeds of, here's who I am. I want you to know me. I hope you like me, and I hope you trust me, right? And then that relationship might evolve very quickly, and that relationship might take a long time to grow. You truly never know, and your relationships aren't going to be the same with every single person. That would be truly exhausting if every single person was as like super close to you, right? So you're going to have some people that get really close to you. You're going to have some people that, you know, they show up when they can, or they show up, you know, when you need something. You never know. So just like I said before, it all goes back to just be kind to everyone you meet. Plant that seed. Don't think of networking as hunting, and you're hunting for that one opportunity. You're going in for the kill. Like, that's not what networking is about. Networking is really about like building those relationships, talking about what you're hoping to get out of life. And people really want to come around and support each other. Like, oh, you want to do that? That's really cool. Oh, I have this resource and that. Oh, I know this person that could help you. I find that like people really enjoy those opportunities to connect and feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting too is, and Melissa knows this, my research over the past 20 years has always been around women and trying to get into more corporate officer positions. I particularly focused in on that because we were seeing headway at the middle manager level. And this is more not entrepreneurial companies, but these are more the traditional corporate jobs. And what's scary is in 20 years, we've gone from about 2% in the C-suite to about 5% women in the C-suite. And then if we even break that down to anybody with a different cultural background, different ethnicity, those numbers become even lower. And that's as far as we've really made it here in the US in terms of women making it up to that level. Some of it is due to just the historical nature of how our society has viewed women in the workplace. And, we're fighting against that kind of foundation that was built. And honestly, some of it is also the phenomenon and the psychology of once women start to feel like they're even thinking like, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a year from now, but they're starting to think about starting a family, they start to take their foot off the gas already on their career. And many people don't even realize they're doing it. But if they're giving, say, an opportunity maybe to go overseas for a year to work at another location for a period of time, they might say, oh, I probably can't do that because, this is going to be happening in my personal life and it would be hard to balance. And then once you have kids, trying to make those sacrifices and trying to make those changes when kids are involved too, that's a whole nother level of figuring things out. So we have been seeing a lot more women-owned businesses popping up here in the US for that ability to create flexibility and things like that. But like Melissa said, you're only going to find true success in that area if you've already built that career foundation, that expertise, that credibility, the ability to be able to show social proof that you have done certain things, because now it's all on you to be able to grow that up. So, it'll be interesting to see how things evolve over the next, even 5 to 6 years in the workforce and how things have changed. But I tell you, in the last 20, in terms of that, not much has changed.
Yeah, I would say another powerful piece with the networking is you really can't be what you can't see, right? And so being out networking and meeting women who are entrepreneurs and who are mothers and working moms and just doing the thing and showing up every day, it really is just like such a strong reminder, like, oh, I can do this, right? And Dr. Heidi, I have to give you credit where credit's due. Like, you were one of those people for me, like hosting that meeting, like, okay, she's a working mom, she's an entrepreneur, like, okay. And like, I also I was like, I don't even know if I should like show up to this. I'm like wearing a hoodie. I think my hair, we have like, I don't know,
how many times have I shown up in a hoodie? Come on.
And then I showed up and like you were wearing a hoodie and I was like, I can be here. I feel like I can be here. Like, and because it's like, it's not about, sometimes it's honestly, like I tell people this all the time, it's not about what you look like and what you're wearing and all the things, because your message is more important than what you look like, and if you have like a lot to offer, your value is not defined by what you're wearing. And so just to have that opportunity, because Dr. Heidi, I'll never forget that moment of, I don't know if I should even log in because I look like a hot mess right now. And you were just wearing a hoodie. And I was like, I feel seen right now. I feel like I can be here.
But Melissa, I will tell you, I think everything you said is on point, but I think that comes with time and experience as well. Because one of the things that I've noticed, and I've done this as a social experiment in my classes, I will sometimes come with jeans. I haven't gone as far as doing the hoodie yet, but I will dress what I consider a more like what you would wear to the office on a Friday, so to say. Like you still look good. You got jeans on, a nice top, some jewelry, accessories. And the culture in the classroom and the response from the students varies greatly to when I show up with what they define as how I should appear as a professor in the classroom. And when I meet that criteria more, we have a much different conversation and a much different culture than when it's more relaxed. And that still stems from not having those life experiences and understanding that you don't need to dress the part to be the part, right? That credibility comes with that ability to say, I don't need to look the part because the people I work with know I'm credible. And, those times and places when you have to show up a little bit differently than others. But, it is interesting because I do think there is that generational gap still where, it does come with some level of knowledge and experience. Like Alexis, if you walked into college, what would you expect your professor to be wearing?
Probably like a nice blazer. Yeah.
See? Do you know how many times I wore a blazer this term? Twice. I did blazers when I left the corporate scene. I mean, yes, I still have some and I still wear them, but I will wear really nice tops, dress pants, dresses, things like that, very professional look, but not exactly what you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Melissa, tell us what's on the horizon for the rest of this year. What are some big things you got going on?
I launched 2 really big projects this year. One was one of the women who came to the Fenway event that I talked about. She wanted to see more networking events out in Central Mass. So we hard launched that in January, and we've had our second event this past Sunday, and there's a lot of momentum building there. So I'm really excited about that. My region, which is South Shore, it just took off super fast. I started opening up the networking events and they sell out so fast, like 15 people with a wait list. It's to me, it's unbelievable. I never thought like I'd be just like hosting these lunches and there's like, 20 people who want to get together. I was like, whoa, where did this come from? And there's so many great networking groups on the South Shore. And so just to like be able to open another door is just a really, really great opportunity. And I'm really excited about that. But the Central Mass thing is just really exciting. It sounds like there's not as many networking groups available. The people that came out there like, oh, this is like the first event I came to for a women's networking event. I'm really glad you hosted this. And I was like, wow, like that's not the same experience. And on the South Shore, like honestly, the events I'm hosting, like most of the people already knew each other. So our conversation, didn't have to be as professional, and we were able to be like a little more laid back and just getting to know each other better and talking about our own lives, as opposed to because people already kind of knew like what they do. So that was really nice. And then the Central Mass vibe is just completely different. There's a lot of people who had never even met each other. So it's interesting to see those different dynamics in different regions. And then the other really exciting project I'm doing this year is I decided to host my first retreat. Mm-hmm. So I opened a 3-night adventure, I'll call it, York, Maine, coming up in May, from May 1st to May 4th. Hired a private chef. The private chef was someone who came to my networking event at Fenway. And so it's just a really, really cool opportunity to get people together, step back from the day-to-day, the busy life. As the grants and growth strategist showing up for my clients, we're all so busy. It's like, you hop on a call, you talk about growth and strategy and what you can do. But at the end of the day, it's like, will that actually get implemented? We don't know, because everything's so busy, and does this raise to the priority level high enough? And so I think it's really important for people to be able to like have some breathing room and have some time to step back, really think through their strategy and what they're doing with their business or their organization, and then be able to put that into practice. And so I'm really, really excited about this retreat. I hope it's super successful.
It's going to be amazing.
And so those were the two really big things for this year. So other than that, I feel like my grants offers, they're on the flywheel at this point. People know what I do, know how to reach me. So people are reaching out, asking how I can help them, and working right into retainers. I have lots of retainer clients on the nonprofit side now. On the small business side, I do like a one and done project for them, with the opportunity to just stay in touch. And if you have another grant, let me know. So all of that's like on the flywheel, and I'm really excited about all of that. But these 2 new initiatives are also really exciting.
That's amazing. It sounds like a great year ahead. And I know you're going to have great success with it because I've already seen it in action. Where, if I'm curious, where could people go? Where's the best place for them to land if they either want to join your group or if they just kind of want to go check out what you've been doing just to kind of see firsthand like how these interactions are working and get a feel for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to my website, melissajpond.com, and then there's a link to Greater Boston Women's Impact Network right from the sidebar.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. We really appreciate you coming on tonight, giving us your time, and we wish you the best of success for the rest of this year.
Thank you. Alexis, I hope you have the most brilliant career that anyone's ever had.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.